So the game versus Spurs, I've had time now to calm down a little bit, think a little bit more rationally about it, and to be honest, I'm still not happy about it.
Fuming, me fuming!
We can't keep saying the same thing, or last year we would have lost that game. We've got to be happy with a point. The way United have handled being ahead in these last two games has been nothing short of shambolic. And there's definitely some factors that are contributing to that, and I'm going to talk about it in today's video. I'm going to talk about what went wrong for United, and I'm also going to talk about the brilliance that is Bryan Mbeumo. As always, guys, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get into it.
Go, let's go, let's go, let's go!
It was clear in the first half how cagey both teams were set up in this game. Both were happy to retreat into their mid-blocks, and neither team really pressed the other. Initially, United were set up really well defensively, using that 5-4-1 again, and we were comfortable for most of that game. And the wide centre-backs of United were doing a really good job at being aggressive and forcing Spurs backwards. You can see from this instance here, Simons, he would regularly drift in that little bit of space that was in front of Luke Shaw, but Luke Shaw did really well at closing that space down. In this example here, you can see how Luke Shaw is following him as Simons drops deeper and deeper in order to receive that ball. Once he does eventually get it, he's almost in his own half, and then Luke Shaw is still right onto him in order to force Simons back towards his own goalkeeper. And then you've got De Ligt on the other side as well then. You'd think Richarlison here, he's got a little bit of space, the ball can be played into him, and he's got some time on the ball. Think again, De Ligt right onto him in order to force Richarlison back yet again, so Spurs starting to pass the ball back more towards their goalkeeper again. Forcing him back, not allowing anything, sort of counter-attacks, any quick attacks onto United's box. United did really well at that. But the only thing was, Spurs were quite good at it as well. Spurs did have a clear plan in attack, but it just didn't really work. It wasn't until they started to make some changes late on in the game and they started to have a little bit more joy. But a lot was trying to come down United's left-hand side. As I said, Simons was trying to drift into that little bit of space. So Tottenham were trying to create these overloads on the right-hand side, and then you're getting in Feedy then, Richarlison and Colomani in the box, sometimes Sarr as well, in order for Porro, the most dangerous crosser of the ball, to get that ball in there. The thing for Tottenham in this game was that crossing just really wasn't that good, particularly in the first half. And then also then, when you're crossing the ball in from that side, you've got De Ligt and Maguire in United's box. Two of the best box defenders you're going to find. So it's going to be hard trying to find your attackers in amongst those two. So the plan for Tottenham didn't really work, especially in that first half. It wasn't until Odegaard came on late in that game that Tottenham started to mix things up a little bit more. They had a little bit more of a threat down their left-hand side, and that's where the goal came from. Odegaard is able to skip past Ugarte in this instance, gives it out to a doggy, the ball goes into the box. Tell does a really good bit of work, also gets a bit of luck with a deflection. Tottenham back in that game then. Odegaard had a couple more instances where he was up against Ahmad 1v1, skinned him a couple of times. He was really the difference maker in that last sort of 10 minutes, and he was a big reason why Spurs were able to get back into that game. What went wrong for United then? Well, obviously United were retreating more and more. I've said you're always going to run the risk of the opposition team coming back into the game if you're going to start retreating that early on. The whole second half, United were happy just to play without the ball. But the amount of changes that Amorim makes, not just in his subs, but also in the positional changes throughout the game, it makes very little sense to me. And we've spoken about it before with Amorim, but this game seemed particularly bad. You've got one of your starting back five finishing the game in the same position he started in, and then you've only got two of that back five even finishing the game anyway. You moved De Ligt in a centre-back, that made sense. Obviously, taking Maguire off as you had to. But were you bringing Ahmad deeper for some particular reason when, obviously, at the time when you're defending more and more? And then the even more peculiar one was bringing on Dalot for Dogu for some particular reason, even though I thought Dogu was doing very well, particularly defensively. And then the Casemiro one, apparently had to go off, but that happens every game as well. Then you're also keeping Mbeumo on the left-hand side when he dropped Cunha deeper. Surely it would have made more sense to put Cunha on the left. That's where he normally plays. And Mbeumo put him on the right, where he normally plays. And then when Mount came on, you're keeping the same thing. You're keeping him on the right-hand side when... Has Mount ever played on the right-hand side for United? It just... The amount of times you've got players playing out of position, it just doesn't make any sense. And surely, particularly with the defensive stuff, chopping and changing that back five so much, it can't help us defensively, can it? And apart from the couple of Sesko chances the United had, we provided Such little threat in that second half, but we didn't really carry much of a threat in the first half as well. So we can't really complain about not winning that game, really. In possession, United simply just had the same issues that we've seen for months now. You take away the counter-attacking chances, and we create so little from settled play. And this is a particular instance where United are just struggling to progress that ball. I said both teams were happy to sit in that mid-block, and United did well defensively, but Spurs did as well because they limited United. You can see in this instance, Ahmad is dropping deeper. He does well to wriggle away from Van de Ven as he tries to press him, but he's forced to go backwards then as there are no real options going forward. And as the ball comes out to Luke Shaw, he's forced to go out wide again. But this time, you've got Dogu on the ball, Fernandes making a really good run in front, and Mbeumo making that run as well. But instead, the ball ends up going back to Luke Shaw, and Dogu just puts his hand up saying sorry. But this is my particular problem with United, especially when Amorim goes with the 5 defenders and a CDM. It just seems over the top. And I think these progression issues that we saw versus Spurs are going to be a really point to highlight that. By the time he moved Ahmad deeper, United were retreating more and more onto their own box. We were making less of those runs further in behind. Like players like Dogu aren't going to be able to pick those passes further forward. It's the big problem we've had with playing Dogu in wing back. Because he's quite advanced, but he's not going to be as good as a lot of attacking players at picking those type of passes, at trying to beat this man. It's the big issue United have had for so long now is their wing backs, particularly when we're playing full backs in there, them in attacking areas, it simply doesn't work. Then Ahmad out there on the other side, he struggles defensively. So you've constantly got that sort of risk-reward sort of thing with Amorim's system, and so far we just haven't got the balance right. Now on to Mbeumo. And honestly, we love to talk about the big money signings, but really for United have they paid off in recent years. But this guy just has that something special. There was a reason why he was being touted as Salah's replacement at Liverpool. He really is that good. Even playing from the left in this game, everything seemed to go through him. Him and Ahmad are really at the fulcrum of everything that's good for United in the attacking sense. And Mbeumo particularly, United are asking him to do a bit of everything. United are asking him to bring it down from these long balls, even from the goalkeeper. A few instances in that first half, he was the target from these long balls, and he actually does okay from them as well most of the time. He's also asked to drop deeper in order to link up play as well. Then he's also in the box of getting that goal for United. He's also that threat in the box. And then he can also make those runs in behind, even though he's not picked out necessarily a lot of the time. He's still there making those runs. I think he's made them definitely the most runs for United and some of the most attacking runs in the league as well this season. He's tireless in that running. And then he's also having to come back and defend in that 5-4-1 as well. Honestly, the amount of work that this guy gets through is honestly a testament to him. That African Cup of Nations where both Ahmad and Mbeumo are going to be out for a little bit of time. I just hope Amorim has a decent backup plan now, because currently United's attack is solely running through those guys, particularly when you're seeing Fernandes playing in his own half most of the time. So United is going to be a major shock when we do lose those two for a few games. And I can't help but being frustrated after the last couple of results. We should have at least won one of these games. Particularly against Tottenham, when you're 1-0 up in the 80th minute, you shouldn't be scrambling round for a last-minute equaliser. But United, I don't know whether it's the changes that Amorim is making, the poor game management, don't know whether it's just the mentality of these players, but clearly there's an issue in the second half, and that needs to be fixed now. It's annoying that we're going to have to wait a couple of weeks to see what happens to United. Another international break yet again. Are United improving under Amorim, or are we still stuck in the same sort of rut? We're not particularly picking up points at a major increase in rate, but we are 5 games undefeated, so I suppose that does show a little bit of improvement. I hope that we can see more after that international break. As always, guys, drop a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one.